Hello, so I'm going to talk to you about action potential, which is also known as a nerve impulse. So we're going to start with this neuron here. It's going to start at a resting state, which is when all these little sodium potassium channels are at a closed state in the beginning. So this closed state is kind of called the resting period. So at this time, the charge inside of the cell is more negative than the outside of the cell. And the outside of the cell is more positive. And when it's resting, that means that the inside of the cell here is at that negative 70 resting rate of millivolts. So this means that the cell is polarized because of the different charges across the membrane right here, the positive on the outside and the negative on the inside. When a nerve impulse happens, that comes down the axons here, this disturbs the plasma membrane to where the potential difference reaches a threshold of about negative 50 millivolts. So it goes up a little bit. So that and hence causes the sodium channels in this area to open up, and the sodium starts coming into the cell, which is positively charged. Causing more and more sodium. As more and more sodium comes into the cell, it starts causing the cell to get more positive in those certain areas. And that starts causing the depolarization period. So then this voltage starts becoming more positive, leading into the depolarization. So as the impulse comes through the channels and begin to open, it starts letting the positively charged potassium ions to leave the cell again. So the potassium that was in here starts leaving the cell. Which changes the inside of the cell to go back to the negative charge again. It starts making it more negative. And that's a phase called repolarization, when it starts going back down. Because then the cell just starts regaining its original negative charges on the inside, and the positive starts going back out. So the whole process of the depolarization and the repolarization, that's essentially what an action potential is. And then sometimes after a nerve impulse, some of the voltage gated potassium channels stay open right here. And that causes for more potassium to keep leaving the cell again, which causes the voltage to slip below that original 70 voltage rate. Oh, my pen's slipping here, sorry. To maybe like around -70 instead of that original, -90 instead of that original 70. So this causes the neuron to conduct, it prevents the neuron from conducting another impulse, and that's called the refractory period. Which means the sodium and potassium pump keeps letting sodium ions outside of the cell and potassium inside, which then and hence brings it back to its resting rate.